If you folks can join me in prayer, and you can join me in this prayer and pray whoever you want. Dear Father, Lord, thank you for bringing us together. Lord, at this time, I just lift up the communities of Maui and Lahaina and Kula up into your arms, Lord. Lord, I ask that you protect the folks in those communities and you lift them up. Lord, I pray for the lives lost. I pray for the lives that will never be found. Lord, I pray for our first responders as they deal with the issues that they have. Lord, I pray for our partners in government, Lord, as they guide these communities. I pray for the community leaders that have stepped up to partner to assist the efforts from our furthest island to the islands away, Lord. I ask that you continue to keep us safe and in your blessings. Lord, as we're here in Nanakuli and our Waiʻanae coast, Lord, I lift up our community to you. Lord, I ask that you continue to keep us safe from all tribulations and trial, Lord. I ask that you wrap your blessings and your protection onto the land that we walk, and you continue to let us prosper and keep us safe and bless us. Lord, I also pray for the conversation that we're at the end, and you continue to keep us grounded. Lord, I ask that you lift us up too as leaders in all of our community to work together, Lord. Lord, I also pray for those who are struggling in anything mental, physical, and whatnot. I pray for those less fortunate folks, those in health, and folks that just need prayer, Lord. Thank you for keeping us safe, and may you continue to guide us and lift us up. And all this I pray in Jesus' name, amen. Thank you for keeping us safe. Aloha. Before we get started, can you look to your neighbor and tell them aloha? I am familiar faces, maybe not familiar faces. There we go. I know grandson is hoping so it's going to be very loud this evening, but we won't try to keep you folks that long. For the folks that I haven't been, it's not. My name is Darius, the state representative for Nanakuli Community Hawaiʻi-Firewise, and and then beside me, I have Representative Cedric Gates. Hello. And then I believe Senator Shimokuro, she's tweeting it online. I just have to say mahalo for one is coming out and being a part of the conversations and knowing that this is not going to happen in one meeting. And I just have to start by just saying that for any confusion, the Hawaiʻi Wildfire Management Organization had this scheduled months ago before anything was ever happening on Maui. So I appreciate them for knowing that our community needs to have these discussions. And I want to acknowledge our community leaders last night for hosting a meeting of Waiʻanae conferences, which I'm sure some of you are in attendance. There was an intention to allow community, I think, to be the stewards of those conversations, and then for meetings like today moving forward, we can work into governmental relations. Because at the end of the day, we are stewards and vessels, I think, for the visions that you folks want to have. I think collectively, it's always going to be community-led government support. And I think that's the ideas that we want to have that circulating on this. So I would like to make some previous given prior before I move forward to the representative to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. As Rekula said, it's important so that we can all come together here today to really try to discuss our plan of action as a local community, as we all witnessed in Lahaina and on Maui. Not being prepared can cost lives. And for us as government officials, we truly believe that we have to play a role in securing the resources and also passing legislation that may be necessary to protect our community, not just from wildfires, but any natural disasters. We've been having a lot of discussions around our emergency preparedness. One of the things that we just met today, me, Senator, and Rep. Keela, about how we move forward and what we wanted to discuss at today's meeting. One of the things we definitely wanted to highlight is that there are organizations already in our community doing amazing work. Waiʻanae Comprehensive Health Centers here, they have their recovery pods at the Comprehensive Health Center with 180,000, 200,000 meals to feed our community in case all hell breaks loose. But we also have our Rotary Club members like Uncle Rock Arakaki, who has the Waiʻanae Community Crisis Emergency Response Team. Sorry, it's the acronyms. But those folks, Ponohiga, Rocky and the Ole, all of these guys have already kind of been stewards. COVID has set us back a little bit, because one of the things that we were doing was hosting monthly meetings at Waiʻanae District Park to train up people in the community to prepare for crisis management. One of the cool things that we do have as a resource in our community is the Civil Defense Center, which is at Mighty Point. That was where I got certified as a participant for our community. And that's something that I want to see as we move forward to open that up for all of us to be able to be trained up and be ready. And we've talked about a lot of the different things that we've seen in Maui that we can improve here in Oahu, as well as our community of Waiʻanae. And that's something that we're going to be working to implement. I do have a list of different documents that I received from our DLNR partners, as well as our DLNR chair for the House. She just sent us a list of basically all the risks, hazards, and plans of action. So maybe if we have, I can share that on the screen so everybody can see that. But don't want to take up too much time. Just want to say mahalo for everyone being here to take the communities. Mahalo. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mario. So acknowledging everyone that this is first of many, right? We're not going to tackle everything here this evening, and I hope your full commitment continues after this meeting. It is important for you to sign up if you haven't already, because those are the ways and means of communication for future events moving forward. We will do our best to notify you via our social media channels and email and whatnot. But please, and even sign up others as well that you know that are not connected. And then before I pass it over, I think if anything, after being on Maui in the last 2 weeks in and out, it's one of those things, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So we'll set the stage of that and Mahalo to folks to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that amazing start to the meeting. And I just want to welcome you and say thank you for being here. Thank you for caring. Thank you for showing up. Even if we're all experiencing different emotions, some people are scared, some people are in shock, some people feel energized and motivated to take action. We're all kind of showing up with a complex mix of feelings and emotions and goals. And so, like our representatives shared, I wanted to make sure that everyone knows we planned this months ago. And the goal is because there are several partners working hard already. So the first part of this meeting is going to be letting you know what is already amazing and happening, and a model for the entire state to follow in terms of collaboration for wildfire safety and preparedness and protection. So you're going to meet a lot of people in the room who have been meeting monthly already for almost 3 years, 2 years and a half. And some of us have been doing it for decades, and we all moved up, and now we've been doing this. Lots of stuff that you're going to hear about. And then we've long been meeting and thinking, well, what can we do to allow residents and neighborhoods to get involved and take action and do all the things necessary around homes and yards and community areas? Because a lot of the work that's happening is in farms and forests and all around the landscape, and it's time for neighborhoods to be supported to also learn and take action. And so we had a meeting just like this last summer, a couple people came. So we are so grateful that so many people have showed up for this, so that we can share with you a tool that can be used to coordinate and organize wildfire preparedness work at the neighborhood level. So with that, I just wanted to make sure that it's clear that that's just this today is just about that neighborhood tool. But our organization has worked with lots of partners in the room, elected officials, state forestry, Honolulu Fire Department. And in 2015, we wrote a community wildfire protection plan. So we discussed hazards. We had 6 community meetings up and down the coast. Lots of people already weighed in on priorities. So hazards, fire occurrence, a lot of things have been tracked and mapped. So there's a lot available for you to learn and use as you start to take action. And then we know 2012 big fire, 2016 fires, 2018. We've been highlighting this. We know there's a lot of people in the room that have been very concerned already and working hard. And we're so glad now we can all be together. And as we move forward, there'll be more and more of this collaborative action. So with that, I'm just going to get started, and maybe we can change the slide. So today's meeting is going to be focused on learning more about what's already going on in Waiʻanae, and to learn about the Firewise Communities Program. I will say that there are already 20 communities across the state who have decided to take action, local action, and become involved in the program. And so we have 20 communities on 4 islands, and that's really exciting. So we invite you to join the mix with your neighborhood, and we'll tell you how that works. And we'll tell you what the program is all about. So we're really keeping this meeting tight. But we know there's a lot to talk about for landscape and vegetation management, that there's a lot to talk about for optimizing emergency response and evacuation. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the built environment and safety. And so fire is complex. It requires everybody's participation, from policymakers, budget makers, emergency responders, planners, developers, and residents, and the list goes on and on. So we are all shifting away from that idea that doesn't the fire department do that? The answer is actually there's a role for everyone to play, and firefighting is the last defense. That's what happens when all the safeguards along the way have been blown through, but there's so much we can do ahead of time. And this program specifically is one of the tools of many. So like I mentioned before, there is time, and this is a long game, and there's a lot to be done. So tonight is just about the neighborhood protection. Okay. So I just want to go over the agenda. We might not stick to these minutes because we have lots of partners we want to invite to share, given the new realities that we are facing, different than what we planned months ago. But we're going to finish this welcome. We're going to talk a little bit about resources that are already available for you to take and get started around your home and yard. We're going to talk about our partners are going to come up and tell you what they've been working on all around this area. And then we'll talk about Firewise. And when we wrap up, if anyone wants to stay and kind of gather in your neighborhood groups or on Zoom, separate into your neighborhood groups and just have a conversation, exchange phone numbers, whatever you want to do, there's some time for that. So with that, a little bit of background. My name is Elizabeth Pickett. Sorry I didn't start with that. I am a co-executive director for Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization. I've been at the organization for 16 years, so cared about fire for a long time. And my co-director is actually managing the very many participants that are on Zoom right now. And so maybe Nani, you can wave, I'm not sure if anyone can see you, but Nani Loretto is the other executive director. We have a small team, Devin is here. This meeting originally was part of a summer project. And so we can thank Devin for her hard work to actually organize all the details. And we have lots of partners in the room, but our organization was founded on Hawaii Island in 2000. We incorporated as a nonprofit in 2002. And the vision was always to work on protecting communities and natural and cultural resources from wildfire. So our vision is for Hawaii's people and places to be wildfire ready and wildfire adapted and wildfire resilient. And so over the years, we started off on Hawaii Island. We went to Maui, we grew statewide, and now we're even helping folks in the Western Pacific who are facing new fire problems as well. because the need is actually that broad. And, but we're just a nonprofit. I mean, like a small, barely funded nonprofit. So please buy a t-shirt, buy our chili, all the things we do to raise money, because all of us who really care about this have just been doing anything we can. But we're not a government agency. We just work together with all kinds of people to try to make this stuff happen. So with that, maybe we want to talk a little bit about how to think about fire and what causes fire. We might know that fire is a flame and that there is usually an ignition and something to burn, fuel, and oxygen to fuel it. But there's a bigger picture of fire that we think about. We think about it in two ways. So what's happening in an area and what's going on or not going on in terms of how much fire is burning or not has everything to do with these three pieces. So what is going on with climate? What is going on with ignitions? And what's going on with vegetation? And in Hawaii, the climate part, we're seeing more and more drought episodes. We're seeing, more and more storms that might cause really heavy winds. There's a lot going on with climate, so our risk is increasing. When it comes to ignitions, 99% of ignitions in Hawaii are started by people. 3/4 of those are by accident. So there is an arson problem, but statewide, we're not adapted to our fire risks. The causes of fire that we've been able to track are campfires that are not put out cold, vehicles driving on dry grass, fireworks, and equipment, everything from sparking weed whackers, grinders, welders to power lines. But those are the causes, and we can do something about those ignitions. And when you reduce the ignitions, your whole equation goes down. So that's something we can already be mindful of and share with folks. It's not cigarettes. Every once in a while, maybe, but we all take part in having barbecues and things like that that have flames, so we can do a good and better job of reducing those accidental deaths. And then, of course, we have expanding non-native grasslands. They're invasive, they're spreading all around, they're sick, it's hard to manage them. Once you mow them, it grows back. So in Hawaii, that is also increasing. 26% of our state is covered in that grass. So it makes sense that we have this recipe for an increase in fires across the state. So as you see, there's a lot of contributing factors, but there's also a lot of things we can do. So that's a lot of what this is about, is like taking action in the places that we can. And then at the more zoom out level, a way to think about those things that we need to do is represented, and a lot of hardworking and really, really amazing people who deal with wildfire all over the US came up with the National Cohesive Wildfire Management Strategy. It's a really long word or title, but we call it the cohesive strategy, and it's a way to think about the whole equation. There's stuff we need to do to become our communities to become adapted to our fire risk. Adaptations and modifications in our built environment, with our behavior, with our policies, with where budgets are allocated, with codes, code enforcement. There's a lot of stuff with humans that need to happen, and we want everybody to adapt to the level of risk we face. There's a lot to be done on our landscapes. We need our landscapes to be able to resist ignition and to be able to slow fire spread, not speed it up. So there's a lot to be done, and that actually it's not just managing the fuel, it's having a vibrant, healthy, nurturing landscape that's restored. It can resist fire, but also resist disease and able to withstand drought episodes and all sorts of things. So we need a healthy environment. And then we also want to optimize so that our firefighters have what they need to keep fires as small as possible and to remain as safe as possible while they do that. And all of it needs to be informed by the best available information so that we really can do a good job. And with that, I think I'm going to pass it over to our first partner of the night. I want to introduce Mike Walker. He's our state forestry fire protection forester. Is that your title? Okay. And we have worked together with all of our agencies on a lot of initiatives, and we just wanted to make sure you're aware of this one.
I just really want to thank you guys so much for being here. This is an incredible turnout. We've been working with Firewise communities with the guys for a long time. I'm the state representative for the Firewise community. And I'm just gonna keep it brief, but it looks like a lot of you folks have picked up the materials already. These are the Ready, Set, Go pamphlet and a wildfire drought lookout handout. There's a lot of things in the Ready, Set, Go that you guys can do around at your home to protect your home and your communities. And if you don't have one of these, you can email us. We got plenty more to hand out for you guys. You can hand them out to your community and your friends. And thank you so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. So pass it on, okay?
I think next is. Oh, Gula. Yeah, you want to talk about what you've been doing?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak about my project. My project is,
Important.
yeah, it's important. Anyway, before I start, I want to thank everyone for attending too, because this is a really big turnout, and we've been working on this for quite some time. I want to tell you that Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization has supported me 100% in my project. And I actually met them in a meeting just like we're having here on a Zoom meeting. And Elizabeth's organization has been supporting me and my project. And my project is to protect, I'm trying to protect the bottom portion of the Waiʻanae Valley. And Eric, he's up in the valley with me and along with other farmers that are in my ag park. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to remove fuel in a strategic area. And when we remove that fuel, that will slow the fire down or stop the fire from spreading towards the bottom or upper portion of the valley. So I have my biggest supporter is Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization. They supported me the whole way, and Nani Waiʻanae has supported me. So those are the backers that I have helping me. But all I'm doing is creating a fire rate. And we're here. I want everybody to know that Waiʻanae Valley and Makaha Valley and Nanakuli Valley, we've been experiencing fires all of our lives. The fire comes and touches our homes almost every other year, and all of our residents that live along the brush road, they're pretty wise on cleaning up their yard and removing those fuels from around the area. But when we see what happened in Lahaina, this same event already happened 5 years ago. In 2018, 3 of our valleys were burning all at the same time. And so the resources are spread too thin to help us protect our community. If you really look at it, the 2 most hottest spots in all the islands are right here in our community, right here in Nanakuli and Waiʻanae. It's the hottest spot. We experience more fire than anybody else, and so we have to take it amongst ourselves to clean up the areas for our homes and protect our community. The common denominator really is, if you're looking at all the urban wildfire interface or all the brush land, what's the common denominator? What do you guys see? That's the common denominator. I'll tell you what the common denominator is. If you notice that in our community, the homesteads, the Hawaiian homesteads are all in the wildland interface. We have 2 elementary schools, 3 elementary schools within the wildland interface. So these are all community things that we have that are within the boundaries of that fire, and we have to protect those things. So we have to take it amongst ourselves. I mean, the fire department does what they can, but us as a community, we have to get together and protect our own properties. We have to make our own properties safe, so that first house doesn't start burning on the edge of that fire. Because once that first house burns, then we end up with a configuration that happened in Lahaina. All it takes is one house, one homestead. And that'll get rid of four. Yeah, that's 4 assets that are being, what happened in 2018? Once the local fire trucks go out, we have trucks coming from town that have 0 experience fighting these wildlife urban interface fires. And so that we're gonna have people defending our area. Our guys are out. They're out. Yeah, it's gonna take an hour, half an hour for the next trucks to come in. If the wind's blowing 80 miles an hour, we're gonna end up like Lahaina. So we all gotta get together and protect our community. Take it amongst yourself in your own home and make it Firewise, like Wildfire Management Organization. They teach us how to make our home safe. And that's why we're here. And not only do we want to make our home safe, we want to make our community safe. Because we're the ones that are in the hottest spot. And it's all the homesteads, really, if you look at it. We get Nanakuli homestead, right? But you guys seen the fire go around Nanakuli homestead. We get Waiʻanae homestead. We got Maka. All three places we're in trouble. And we already experienced that in 2018. So I'm glad to see everybody here, and I hope we all get together and keep in touch and protect our community the way we should.
So I believe we're having a little bit of sound trouble. But we might be okay. So we have a video we want to show you about another effort going on. And it involves, well, I won't spoil it. I'll just let it show and then we can invite everybody to talk about it if you're willing. But I have the video. All right, here you go.
So for the last 3 years, in collaboration with Ka'ala Farms, we've been doing a summer 5-week internship program. And it's for students in all of the high schools along the coast. And the purpose is to introduce them to the struggles that exist in their community, and also to introduce some of the challenges, and to provide opportunities for them to raise their voice and understand how to take on policy issues. So this is one of the 5 groups, wildfire mitigation, and they were so fortunate to be supported by Elizabeth's group, by Clay, who I think seen him on the news a few times, Yumi, Bula, Mike, and the kids. You can hear it. Learning about this issue, and because as lessons now, because but because the vast majority of these fires are human cause. One of the reasons for working with the youth is for them to understand that, and then they in turn talk to their friends about it. And, that's just one way of getting it out. And we're hoping at some point to have a home assessment program. We can also participate in, so that people in the community can get their assessments done for the homes, and maybe even some support in how to improve their landscaping. But anyway, it's in the summer in collaboration with the community.
When we were worried there was nothing happening, we could go on all night, because we have so many people already taking amazing action. We're working on sound here. Are we okay? Yeah.
We hear you.
Okay. And there are other members in this room, Honolulu Fire Department, our elected officials, Hawaiian Electric. Kay mentioned the Watershed Partnership. There's a lot. Clay's in the back. University of Hawaii is very involved. So thank you to everyone who's been involved so far. We have one more person we want to introduce so that you can really see what you would be joining into if you start to take neighborhood action, which is what the rest of tonight will be about. Because that's the piece that we want to mobilize and support and get going, because it wasn't specifically mentioned, but we have to remember that, of course, there's flames that might come off the valleys and hit a house and then turn it into a structure fire. But there's also another thing that happens, which is that embers are blown in the wind, and they can land in your yard, in your leaf pile that you didn't get to sweep up yet. And then that's what catches fire. And that's actually what causes a really fast fire. So there's a lot you can do. Fire is not like other natural hazards where you can't control a tornado or a hurricane or other things. Fire only burns where there is fuel to burn. And when our houses and our trees and our grass and our leaf piles are there, we have given it fuel. But there's so much you can do around your home and yard to work on that. And so I just wanted to plug that for a minute because it came up in a few ways, and then introduce you to one more partner who's doing amazing work. And then we'll go through Firewise and wrap up. So Uncle Eric, at Ka'ala Farm is going to go next and share his. So right here.
Okay. Aloha, everybody. Mahalo. I saw a lot of you last night. That was not a great. We thank the Puna Council and also the work that Ryan Keolana talked about. What risks of strategy for analyzing risks. And so he did a wonderful presentation. So we really got that was really important. Was that a little video or something?
Yes, we can send it out because it's like so hard to put it back on. So can we just send it out or do we want there?
It's okay.
Okay, can we skip it and I'll send it to all.
Okay.
So start out to make sure we can send you all.
Yeah, well, that video was the 2012 fire, and the 2012 fire, what happened in Lululemon Naval Ammunition Depot. That burned, what happened was all Lululemon used to have active fire department there, a federal firefighters there. But anyway, what happened was that in 2012, the maintenance crew was working there, and I don't know what happened, but it was right over the ridge for us. A fire started there, and that fire burned in Lululemon. It came over the back of Kaala, in the back of Waiʻanae, and then it burned all around us and burned our hale. Yeah. So our hale burned, and the entire back of the Waiʻanae forest, the forest preserve burned. So that was 2012. We talked about the 2018 fire, and so we were up there, and the ignition points in Waiʻanae Valley, I thought it's just Waiʻanae, but in 2018, we're up there, and the ignition points in Waiʻanae Valley Road, I think with the fire department, is that there are most ignition points in the entire state right along Waiʻanae Valley Road. That is the end of the road up to Kaala Farm. So every summer something burns. 2018, we're up there. It was really windy. And then we had 2 school buses up there of families. We're up there in the lobby. And then I looked down, and we just came out of the lobby, and then I saw a fire right below us. Sorry. And I immediately called the fire department and says, "You come up right away, you can put it out." They told us that all the units were in Makaha, because I think Kili Drive was burning. So all the units were going to Makaha because the fire department first response is we're homes now. And because we were just grasslands, they said, well, the priority is to protect the home in Kili Drive. So we had nothing to do. So I told them we had 2 school buses, we were trapped. The reason we're trapped because all our back roads is where people dump tires, cars, container, everything you can think of. Yeah, I mean, huge amount of trash. And that's not just our valley. If you go any back road, you'll see it. What happens is that once the fire starts, it's fast. That's one thing about the grass. It's quick. I think it took 17 minutes. I mean, with 80 miles per hour wind, there's no way you can stop it. And because they're all wooden, everything went. Yeah, I mean, I don't care how many fire departments, but there's just no way once it starts. But that's a strategy. How do you stop the fire? And but that's a long story. But anyway, we're trapped. We're trying to fight the fire, and we kept the fire from jumping. So we told the kids we had to go back into our brand new rebuilt holiday. We pull it first, and we told the children and the adults, if the fire skips and goes up, mount up to the holiday, our second holiday can burn again. So the best thing is to take the children and go into the lobby and just cover yourself with water, and then just take the children in there. And so we went down to the front, and we had buckets. We were just fighting the fire to keep the fire from spreading to us. And it was all day just fighting that fire to keep it from spreading out. But that fire went down, it burned the egg park, and millions of dollars of damage at the egg park. The egg park has some members of the Waiʻanae egg park. And the bullet was up there. It was all of them smart. There's some of them are just poor farmers just trying to survive. Their whole investment, everything is there. Watch everything burn. And a lot of them are immigrant farmers. Google was out there. You had to go up there and rescue a Cambodian farmer, right? And actually grabbed him because he was just trying to save the farm. There's nothing he could do. That fire is quick. It burned 9,000 acres. That fire just started at 9,000 acres. It burned all the way down. It went over into Makaha the next day. Makaha fire was Kili Drive, but this fire burned over the top and started to burn on the other side of the top. So these are all the things that happened. So anyway, a lot of stuff. I'm really glad you're here because we work on strategies and we gotta, just figure out. And mahalo again with the work that Elizabeth does and all of you in the room, and thank you so much.
Yeah. I just wanted to recognize, I just saw the 3 Waiʻanae kids and Brady and Destiny were part of the Oh, we can't let
1 second. I just want to make note, my mom, who is French Soto, is the creator of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Her Hawaiian name was Anui Nui. And I can see it outside now. She's out there. We're talking about the fires, we're talking about that, and then Anui Nui is a rainbow. And out there, so the water is coming down, noticing that we are coming together to see how we can solve the solution, and make it better, so that the INA will be continuing to be the Hawaiian, definitely the Hawaiian culture, the Hawaiian way. And you know, with Eric there, we really appreciate my mom, them always really appreciate the ahupua'as that they do, that they protect, etc. All the historical sites, all of the pakus up Mauka and all the way to the ocean. But I'm looking over there and I get chicken skin. And I see my mom, Frenchie, she's the Anui, and she, yeah. But she's like, you know, trying to see how we can get the hua, the water to come down so that we can continue being, this is the driest part of the year that it needs to be taken care of, and we need to continue to do what we are doing. And chicken skin, mahalo.
Right, so I'm glad the majority of the meeting was for you to know. It seems like there's energy to do neighborhood level work now to fit that puzzle piece in that has so far been something that we were hoping to support. And so I just want to go through what the Firewise Communities Program is all about, and so how you can use it as a tool. As you're learning risk management, you're reviewing the hazards, you're learning together, you're deciding to take action. What it does is help you organize that into sort of a community action plan. It helps you organize people around it. You get plugged into the greater community of 20 others, and we have so many more requests now in the last 2 weeks to join and mobilize and start getting everybody, all their yards and homes and communal areas all cleaned up and safer. And so the program is run within Hawaii. It's hosted by Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization. It's a huge piece of what we can contribute is to do the background to try to support our neighborhoods, to support themselves, because it's a really big piece of things. If it ever lands and it doesn't actually land in a leaf pile or something and it doesn't catch, we're all good. And so we see that as a very effective way to take action. So it's part of a national program of Firewise communities. So there's another nonprofit way bigger than us that sets the fire code and whatever else, but they're a nonprofit, and a whole arm of what they do is oversee Firewise and provide support to folks like us and communities who want to do that kind of local level work. So we are all kind of connected. So we're connected to each other. First, you connect to your neighborhood group, then you connect to the bigger Hawaiʻi-Firewise network, and then there's access to the bigger networks. So there's a lot of neighbors and communities around the United States who are deciding that they want to get organized and start really getting involved. So with that, we can go into the next slide. Some benefits. You start increasing your wildfire protection. And well, I'm sure it keeps going, so I'll go to the next slide. There's a lot of work on community resilience, especially for adapting to natural hazards and climate change and all these things. And one of the biggest factors about whether people survive and reduce their risk and all those sort of things is if they know each other and if they're resilient and if they have been working on things together. And so it provides one more way of doing that. It also connects you to all those communities across the state and the country if you enjoy that peer learning and lessons learned, sharing and motivating each other, etc. And then having that national recognition from that very respected entity who's overseeing the whole program increases your visibility. It gives you a bargaining chip to try to get more funding for your projects. And then on the side, Hawaii Wildfire is selling t-shirts, we're doing all this stuff, we write grants, we try to get money to support our communities who've decided to do this so that they could do those bigger projects that might be out of reach because they don't have enough funds. So a huge part of our workload is looking everywhere we can for funding to support our neighborhoods who are trying to get safe. And then, this is new as of the last year, we have a bunch of community members who've been involved in Firewise who joined a class with all our fire department folks to learn how to do home assessments. And now we have money to pay for them to go out and offer free assessments. So if you want your own home assessed, you sign up, and then we have our volunteers or fire people to come and like walk around the house and teach you some things that you might want to get done to get safer and safer. And so if you're interested in that, we actually have some assessors, community assessors coming out next week. And then again, as there are requests, and we have little flyers, if you are sitting on paper that says saved, it's on the back, but otherwise the other ones are on the table. Students just sign up and we'll organize that and we'll come out. It's not a judgy thing. It's more like, oh, you know what you could do? Clean out your roof gutters, sweep over here. It's just pointing out all the things you can do, you know, right away. And so you learn more, and then you start to see, and you can help your neighbors, and it spreads like that. And then what we do is Hawaii Wildfire is we help to coordinate that. We coordinate the assessments. We have quarterly meetings among all our Firewise communities. We raise money. And then we hear from everybody what they want to learn about, and we pull in those teachers so that people can keep learning or keep organizing or work on that issue or that issue. So we're a team in this. And then we have all these other partners that we can pull in who can also help if that's their expertise. So it's a real communal thing. We try to do it all together. But a huge part of it is, as each agency, nonprofit, everyone's kind of doing their piece. We need our neighborhoods to be organizing their own neighbors and moving it that way, because we're a little bit higher of an elevation to try to support that level of work, but people need to be talking to their neighbors, which is what this program helps to support. So that said, if you want to see where the communities are, I think this might just be showing like 15 or 16. 14. So you can see that was actually as of 2022. So even in the last year, it's already up to 20. And in the last week, we have all this more interest. So I think it's going to be getting really good here soon. And we're so glad that maybe some of you want to do it as well. And then I'm not going to read all this, but I just wanted to say there's a method and a strategy to going through it, which is first, it starts with you gather up some interested neighbors and decide you want to do it. And then we'll organize for you to gather up some people. We bring our fire department and state forestry and UH partners, and we all come together and we walk around and we look at things and we do a hazard assessment, and we provide back a very detailed assessment and a list of recommendations from the people who do this all the time. But we hand it back to your resident group. And then you decide what you want to take action on. You put it in a priority order. And then there is a requirement that energy goes into it. So it can be volunteer time, it can be dollars for waste removal or hazardous tree limbing or something. But there is a match requirement. So when you get people to invest together and show some action, and you've done all those steps, you get recognition. And that's what opens the doors to all the next level of good stuff. And then, so those are the details. And so the next step would be that you just contact Hawaii Wildfire. We co-manage the program with state forestry. And so Mike is involved in all the things that go on in this program, but it's posted and you'll talk to us at Hawaii Wildfire a lot more often. So we just want to leave you with some things to think about, which is, how important is it to you? Seems like it's important. Look at all of you who've shown up. Think through if this is right for you. If you want to get involved at the neighborhood level, you have some neighbors you can pull together. It's never 100%. You just need a few people, and it's amazing to watch it grow. And what we've even seen is when one neighborhood does it, eventually all the next ones do as well. So you can set the tone for your own area if you want. So what we can do is if you sign up for, if you sign in, like we keep encouraging you to, we can follow up, but there is a fact sheet over there that shows the process. There's a QR code. You can start getting involved. You could request a hazard assessment. Like you could start and contact us and we can get the whole thing rolling right away. So just reach out to us when you're ready, when you think you have some neighbors who want to do it, and then we can get started. You want to talk? Okay, we have somebody who wants to speak for a minute.
Yeah, before we close.
Sure. Yeah.
Hello, Kako. Hey, nice to see, Eric, I knew him for years, good to see, Cedric, our, neighborhood board, Samantha Perez, John, I think I met brother. I was, born and raised in Nanakuli. This is our valley. Good to see a lot of Nanakuli people here. It comes from the valley. We one big Ohana that lives in Nanakuli. We know what happened to Makua, Waiʻanae Valley, Maili Plain. We had our fair shares in this valley too. I'm pretty sure a lot of people that live within this valley, we've seen fire come over from this side, Huelea side. I seen fire reach the top there. I seen fire came from Kai power plant side came over. I see this whole mountain on fire. We have about 15 lateral streets. We call them first road, second road, third road, goes all the way up in the valley. I have family members out of the 15, probably 14 roads that they live. And then when you come from Nanakuli, we want big Ohana. We all know each other, just like Waiʻanae Homestead. It's like, where Eric comes from, John comes from. In 2016, March 17, we had this fire that started up. If you can see right up there, we got the telephone post. And I got my good friend Lopaka. He lives right alongside there. It was a nightmare. I went up into Series 7, and Planning guys know HWMO, he lives there. His house was one of them that got touched from a fire. Me and my son went up there and evacuated. I carried a 90-year-old lady out of her house, and I was frightened. I never ever seen flames. We actually came down that mountain. I think it was a little bit windy, but for some reason, the way the valley runs, it came down like one hurricane. I swear I was there. I seen it. I've been really, for our valley, for Waiʻanae Valley, I would suggest that you guys go get all you guys' personal documents, put them one so you can grab and go. For me, what I seen in Lahaina, I get family on Maui too. It was devastating. Now, if we get winds, even 40 miles, 50 miles, they had some wind that came, the wind they had was apparently maybe 80 miles. No matter what valley, Nanakuli, Maili, Waiʻanae, Maka, Makua, we in trouble. We definitely in trouble. So some resources I've been throwing out there. We need the federal government to help us. We need to have them allocate those Chinook helicopters, not only when they like. I brought that right there to our neighborhood board for years. Talk to the military. They told me to talk to the governor. But now I see what's happening on the neighbor islands. They finally releasing them. So we know different. I think if our board present that to the military, let's do it. The reason why I said, when you have the fire department helicopter, I consider that as a teacup. When you get the military helicopter, they bring into the game swimming pool. That's the difference. And we've seen them in the past. They did away with them. They did away with the medevac. They did away with helping us control this fire. To me, I've seen every fire that in this valley since I live here, born and raised. I can say that, and I can speak for a lot of our people that live here. They seen the same thing I've seen. Even I'm not as old as a lot of them in here. They've been here longer, but they know what I'm talking about. So we need to gather you guys birth certificates and everything where you guys can grab and go. I did it in my household. I live on a highway. My brothers, I get 2 brothers live in the valley. I get 1 sister live in the valley. I told him the same thing. You know what? That should be a big waking up what happened to Lahaina. We got to be prepared. I asked you guys, take a drive in the valley. Go through the roads. You're gonna be horrified when you look what we're dealing with up in that valley. Remember, this is Hawaiian Homestead. On the outside of your property is still the HHL. Yes, Hawaiian Homes live on that side. So what Hawaiian Homes gonna do? It's not all people to go there. Hey, I see people cut alongside. But I tell you what, between a fire without wind and a fire with wind, we're in deep trouble, no matter where you stand. Thank you.
Before I hand it off for our closing, I just wanted to let you know, we have lots of workshops in the mix or in planning stages. We're gonna do a workshop on Ready, Set, Go, which is all the things you can do around your house, home, and yard. Teach you how to make and practice your evacuation plan, teach you all about that sort of stuff. So that's coming down, and a whole bunch of other interesting things that you might want to get up to speed. So just keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully we have your email or your phone number and we can proceed that way. But again, as we wrap up, I just want to thank everyone on Zoom. I think there are 91 people from this area. Thank you to our participants. I hope you can see what you needed to. Thank you to Nani Barreto, our co-executive director, who's been managing that invisible to us side, but very important part of our community who's going that way. Thank you to our partners in the room, and just thank you. Let's please stay in touch and let's do this. It's really time, and there's so much support for you. So we're ready to support you when you decide you want to do some neighborhood level work. And if you just want to learn more, there's opportunities for that too. So let's stay in touch.
Can you folks give it up for each other? Well, can you please raise your hand if you're at last Saints meeting hosted at Waiʻanae Center? Okay. I'm asking folks to raise your hands for the folks who are not there last Saints, for the chance for folks to engage afterwards. So we're thinking about next steps, right? This meeting, as I said before, was for you folks to see who is at the table and available to you folks. At the grassroots level was the idea of being Firewise and fire ready. I like the statement that our firefighters should be the last folks coming in, right? We have to take things and being ready and whatnot. But it's every level from grassroots top up. I know you folks are watching the same news channels as me, and I know you folks are nervous and worried. And I'd be remiss to not acknowledge that I think we feel the same way. But I think even prior to me and even Rep Gates, and you folks have been sounding the alarm for how long? And far often to not, it's our rural communities that have been often neglected. Mr. Walker, I want to share a little bit more. He didn't take credit for this, but he came to us this past session and we lobbied hard for a bill that's called Community Fire Fuel Reduction. That's exactly what this is, right? As you folks know, when fires happen, California grass comes back even stronger. Right, so being ahead of the jet, so all of you are asking for was 2.5 million to do fuel reduction. We got it far across the river, but for some reason it didn't pick up steam. And we're looking back at that piece of legislation and feeling like we told you folks, right? Mr. Walker, you folks have to understand that you can't speak for the state as much as you'd like to, but know that there is some frustration, I think, collectively amongst us, that we have asked this, you both have asked this for how long. And so I hope whatever commitment that you folks can provide, it manifests into more after this. Because I really hope this doesn't stop. We keep the momentum. I want our colleagues at the Capitol to know that West Maui looks just like Waiʻanae. I want my colleagues at this Honolulu to know the Capitol and West Maui folks need to come here and see this. I don't think they fully understand the gravity of what's going on here. And we're here to be those stewards and voices to make sure that this doesn't happen. You know, and I think there is a lot of concern, rightfully so. We're not going to tackle it all at once. But if there is anything I think we've asked you folks to be a part of, I put my blood and sweat into this, it would be this. If you guys don't show up to the other town hall meetings or any other meetings, I would hope that you folks find a commitment to this. And I'm okay with that. We're okay with that. Because our other meetings are great and important, but if we can save one life, I think it's something more important than that. Right, and then this is my appeal to you folks, please know your neighbors. Please know their needs. I think more often than not, we get stuck in the vacuum chamber of ourselves, and I know it's hard. This is not an easy Hawaii for my kupuna, and I know this is how the Hawaii you're familiar with. As somebody who's 27, this is a hard Hawaii. But in retrospect of what's going on, I'll say this in the room. Trying to be sentimental what's happening on Maui, but preparing for the domino effect of what's to come. Small perspective. 70% of Maui County's tax revenues comes out of Lahaina. $1 billion operating budget, $6 billion damages. 30% of our state budget comes out of Lahaina. If we thought we were going into hard times in COVID, I want to prepare you folks that this could get worse. As you see, the tourism effects are now starting to affect every island. We're losing revenue. And trying to balance, right, that there's still community breathing. And this is hard. We don't have the answers all the time, but I don't have the answers all the time. There are other folks that have the answers. But this is where I'm asking you folks to please fill in those gaps. Being on Maui, we can talk afterwards. I would like to let you folks know we can talk afterwards. All these folks are here for you folks to engage. And as we continue community meetings, please show up for that. Before we close, I'll ask Senator Christine.
I'll say a few words, just a round of applause. I just want to say how proud I am of Rakila. He's the first time legislator, but he's just such a great partner for me and Senator Trump. The young leaders coming out of the community, really taking ownership of the need for us to come together and do the work that's ahead of us. I did want to just highlight a few things, as I mentioned, as I started earlier. There are efforts which Mike has been a huge part of at the legislature, and that's something that we're going to be going back to in 2024 when we go back into session. We may also have a special session, we'll see. So we might go back into deal with all the Maui issues and any other things that we need to. And I think one of the biggest silver linings of the Lahaina fires, and my condolences to all of those who lost loved ones and the community still grieving, is that it opened up our eyes, right, as a community, as a state, to be better prepared and to put the resources. At the end of the day, a lot of the things that we're talking about, there needs to be an investment made in our community to go towards helping with buying new equipment for our DOFA guys who are in the field out there. That's one of the funding requests that I'm going to highlight right now. So for next session, they are going to be putting in for $12 million annually to try to assist with fuel reduction as well as purchasing equipment. And then there's going to be another $2 million for additional personnel for fuel reduction, and additional $10 million for fuel reduction and suppression contracts. So that's what we're looking at in terms of a budget. As Rep. Kila mentioned, we may be falling on tough times moving into 2024, and our whole financial outlook may be off, and we will have to prioritize, but this is something that can't wait either. And so we need to find the money, and that's what we're going to be telling our colleagues, our finance chairs and WAM chairs at the Senate side, to prioritize this because we know what can happen. Some of the things that we've also been discussing, as I mentioned earlier, is watershed, really working on taking out the invasive species, but also the ungulates, right? The pigs and the goats that are eating away at our watersheds and providing less water for our community to help fight the fire. And being a contributor for all these businesses to grow anyways. So that's something that we're gonna definitely be putting a lot of effort into, and I think one of the ideas that came out in the past is to have like a bounty program, right? We have a lot of hunters on our side. Why don't we put a bounty out for a lot of these different invasive species and have people go and collect it and provide some economic stimulation for our community as well? So that's something I propose as well. We are looking at our emergency access routes as a big factor on how to protect our community in times of crisis. Right now, we've secured millions, I was gonna say about $5 million in the state budget to go towards Pākea and Uluwalei label. Right now, DOT is waiting on the city to basically approve all of the different permits and paperwork that needs to go into getting those gates open for daily use. And that's going to contribute to having a complete secondary access road. One of the ideas that we're floating is, of course, trying to make that connection between Uluwalei and then to Maʻiliʻili Road as the first lane, but then trying to build that out with community engagement. We've tried in the past and we failed. Unfortunately, there was opposition from this community towards the plan that was brought by DOT and DHL. But that's something that we can't let that stop us. We got to revisit that, find out where we went wrong and how we can build on to building out this new access route for our community, because we deserve it and we desperately need it. For the fire breaks, one of the things that we've had a lot of help within our community is people creating their own fire breaks. And I know, Pula, you have done that with sheep now. And that's really awesome to see people being innovative in that way to try to contribute to the solution. With that being said, with the fire being started on Maui due to heat-full power lines, look across our coast, everywhere we have loose power lines hanging everywhere. And that's one of the things that we will have to fight for. And that's something I've always went to the Public Utilities Commission and argued that Waiʻanae deserves underground lines. But the reason why we haven't got underground lines is because of the cost. HECO doesn't want to front the cost. And then they're going to tell us, oh, we built this, or we put the lines underground, it's going to pass on to the ratepayer. And so all of us are going to foot the bill because they're going to increase the electric bills for us, and we're going to have to all contribute to that. With that being said, we don't know what HECO's future looks like. We've had an opportunity in the past to purchase HECO as a utility. That's something that I think we should re-engage in conversation about, is do we try to, as a state, purchase HECO and make it work for the people instead of being profit driven, which we know it is as of right now because it's a publicly traded company and they're out for their stakeholder. And not to bash HECO, because I know a lot of our community members also work at HECO too, but we also have to look out for the best interests of our residents over the profit of the shareholders. And that's where we have to hold them accountable. And I think if the government takes on that role, then we can make that investment of putting all of our lines underground. So that's something that we're definitely looking at. Again, the last thing I'll leave it on is looking at Firewise and all of the support that you guys can provide our community, and us taking advantage of that support and resources and putting that into action. And I want to plug in Firewise real quick. They do have a QR code survey outside that you can provide all your input digitally so that they can compile it and send it out to all of us. I also will be sending out the PDFs of the budget requests that are going to go in for next year, so you guys can take a look at what that money will go to. And it also highlights how high risk our community of the Waiʻanae Coast and 96792 is to wildfires and other natural disasters. With that being said, this was a great meeting. I hope it was informative. And lastly, I think there's going to be time if you guys all want to break out into different ahupua'as. I know that we did that last meeting, but you guys want to separate and exchange contacts, that would be awesome. With that being said, mahalo for. Can you folks all stand?
and sing Hawaii Aloha.